Timothy Olyphant's forgotten role in this 9-season sitcom with an 81% Rotten Tomatoes score is undoubtedly a comedy masterpiece. While the actor made a name for himself in the theater and movies in the earlier years of his career, Timothy Olyphant's TV characters from more recent years are nothing short of stellar. From Deadwood to Curb Your Enthusiasm, Olyphant has been busy. However, a lot of people don't realize that Olyphant is also a member of the Office cast. Olyphant only has a small role, but truly dedicated fans of the sitcom will always remember the iconic actor as The Office's Danny Cordray. Timothy Olyphant plays Jim and Dwight's rival in The Office. Danny Cordray is a threat when it comes to sales and romance. Danny talking to Jim in the kitchen about why he didn't call Pam back in the office. For those unfamiliar with the sitcom, Timothy Olyphant portrays Danny Cordray in The Office, a traveling paper salesman who initially works for Dunder Mifflin's rival, Osprey Paper. Danny is first introduced in the season 7 episode, The Sting, but he isn't exactly an unknown figure in the world of The Office, and the characters are already aware of who he is. Danny is a major rival of Jim and Dwight. While both of the men are very strong salesmen, they frequently lose out to Danny, which is even more frustrating considering Osprey Paper is an even smaller company than Dunder Mifflin. It is also later revealed that when Jim left Scranton after The Office season 2, Pam and Danny went out a few times. This sparks an even deeper conflict between Jim and Danny. Jim struggles to understand why Danny never called Pam back for a third date, but eventually, he realizes how lucky he is to have a wife who is such a weirdo. However, this rivalry between the three doesn't really turn into much, especially as we don't see a lot of Olyphant's character. Why The Office should have had Timothy Olyphant in more episodes. Danny could have been an interesting change to The Office's dynamic. Timothy Olyphant as Danny Cordray, smiling as he is interviewed by Meredith, in The Office. Technically, Olyphant only appears as Danny Cordray in 2 episodes of The Office, The Sting, and Costume Contest. He does briefly appear in Michael's Last Dundies, but in a deleted scene. Either way, it's rather limited screen time for the character. Since Danny is a traveling salesman, it explains his absence, which is the same reason we only see Todd Packer periodically. However, Todd Packer appears several times throughout all 9 seasons of The Office, whether that's in person or just the sound of his voice over the phone. There absolutely should have been more of Timothy Olyphant in The Office, though, as there are many potential storylines that could have spawned from Danny Cordray's presence. For example, in Costume Contest, everyone looks forward to going to Danny's bar, but Kevin and Andy are particularly cautious about disrupting the status quo in The Office, especially if it'll upset Pam and Jim. Danny is also a voice of reason, like Jim, who offers stunned reactions to the ridiculous situations that pan out, and it would have been good to see more of that. What Timothy Olyphant has said about acting in The Office. Olyphant loved his brief stint on The Office. Danny talking to Kevin by the water cooler about his Halloween party in The Office. In an episode of The Office Ladies podcast from earlier this year, Timothy Olyphant discusses his experiences playing Danny Cordray with The Office's Jenna Fisher and Angela Kinsey. The actor shares a few comical stories about his other projects and one scene he filmed with Steve Carell in The Office. He ultimately refers to himself as a bit of a disappointment for failing to keep a straight face opposite Carell, but this doesn't mean he didn't enjoy himself. Olyphant also adds that The Office was a kick to do, it's such a fun show, the nature of the whole thing.